really struck you as key takeaways?
Oh boy, lots and lots of things. I think Talat Hassan said she's still trying to find the right business model, and everyone laughed. But it's true. She said, I'll tell you the business models we've tried. I think it was very interesting when she said they were willing to pay this much for YMCA, but if it was an Indian community, they were not willing to pay so much for it. So we cut the price in half, and then they said, can we have a senior citizen discount? I think I've tested this. I've tested this in other communities. Like I asked some of the people at the Latino Community Foundation, if you bring non-Latino people to your board, will your board behave better? And they said, absolutely not. They've done that. They have 9 Latinos, 3 non-Latinos, and those people are all community leaders in other communities. But as soon as you put them in the room as Latinos, they have a certain way of doing it that just comes right back to them. You take them out of the room, where they're the minority, they'll behave like that. So it's been very interesting to see how much of this is shared. And from Sally, of course, the dream is to have these, I think we have a lot of issues in our community, like for example, human rights issues, where we don't know how to solve them. We just raise the flag and scream. Like, there is a problem here, they say. But then, how do you move that to a social entrepreneurship model? Even if it is just taking pictures, great. What's next after taking pictures? Do you go on a website? Do you collect money? I'd love to see some of these problems move into a social entrepreneurship model where you actually create a solution.
How are you thinking about it systemically?
Yeah, rather than just complain about it and worry about it. So some of those things are very cool. So Talat and her and Archana, I know she worked very hard with NLCA. That was really amazing. And Ms. Kong, I've known your work for a long time and truly admire it.
So, well, I want to open it up because I'm sure all of you have some questions for Nosheen. Yes?
I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on something that I've been thinking about. I've noticed right around the time of the social unrest and the election in Iran, there was just a flurry of activity in the media, on Facebook, Twitter, and I know there's no silver bullet answer here, but I mean, obviously a lot of that attention is dying down, seems to be continually dying down. How does PARSA navigate that? I think the last speaker spoke about some of the issues with politically hot topic issues, and if you have a big group, you can't necessarily go directly at some of these issues, but how do we maybe reignite some of that interest and within our own community externally, and how does that relate to PARSA? And how do you balance, the wanting to help but not, isolating or pissing off somebody, basically?
Well, several things. First, we are a non-political organization, completely and totally. That is a fact that the founders wanted. Everybody wanted it that way, and so it started out that way. One way we can help is to help the organizations that have OFAC licenses in Iran. So we're encouraging more people to get OFAC licenses. We would also like to work with organizations to remove the sanctions relative to NGO giving, so that the Iranian diaspora ought to be able to support Iranian NGOs. It shouldn't be just the U.S. government who is doing it, because as we all know, it puts those NGOs in great jeopardy when they receive money from the U.S. government. It would also put them in great jeopardy to receive it from Iranians here. I know that. But I think it's a step better than receiving it from the U.S. government in some ways. And I think with good examples, we can improve that. But thirdly, and most importantly, I think, I'd say this is the hardest thing for us, is to make a connection for people between what's happening in Iran and solutions to that and what we do at PARSA. Our solution to that is a 30-year solution. That is, we must become active citizens. We must not just vote every 4 years in the presidential election, but be active in the American civic process on a daily basis. For example, we have to be informed. We have to care about issues that don't relate to us directly, say healthcare. We need to, there are a list of 100 things that we could do, but I think our goal is to build that capacity in ourselves. The idea of having an institution where we have a participatory process of decision making, for us to even learn what that means. Do you know how many calls we get where people say, Nosheen, you know so-and-so, can you just tell them to give me a grant? Because, you know, I mean, we have many, many funny examples of that. That's just one example. We've had other examples, very serious examples, where our own people don't want to hold up the rule of law because they think, well, we're a small community, let's not hold up the rule of law because it will break us up, you know. But we still, I think these things are, this is the learning process that we're going through, rule of law above everything else, and following, you know, building. So I feel like these groups and all these people working together on building institutions, that is the kind of learning we need, because frankly, we haven't had much experience building civil society before. This is really our first, you know, foray into building civil society. We didn't build it under the Shah, we didn't build it under Khomeini, under Reza Shah, under Qajars, so on and so forth, and all the way back. So it's a great opportunity to do that. So I see our role in a very long-term role, which unfortunately is not fast and quick enough for people. But I think if you care about what's going in Iran, become a better citizen, volunteer your time, not just for Iranians, but for everyone, because we got to learn what democracy even is, how you get it, how you keep it, and how you enrich it every day.
Good questions.
First off, this question I'm asking, you have not planted. It may sound conspicuous, but after sitting here for however many hours and listening to all of this, other than taking out our checkbook and signing a figure to PARSA, what would be 3 things that you'd like each of us to do for PARSA and for the larger community?
I would say one of the most, you want action-oriented,
Action-oriented.
not thinking-oriented.
What are 3 things that you think each of us could do to move PARSA's mission one step further?
Great question.
Well, one is you can become, like, train the trainers. You can become trained to put up donor workshops. By donor, again, we're not talking about big money or that. That's why we say, I think philanthropy has such a bad name, because people think of being a philanthropist as a wealthy person. That's not the case. As you heard from our first speaker, from Sally, from Lucy Bernholz, you know, 77% of the money comes from individuals, not big foundations or corporations. This is just average Joe giving money to the Firefighters Association or whatever. So, so whenever I say philanthropy workshop, I feel like people think like, you know, I don't fit that, I'm not going to go to the workshop. So the first thing you could do is to become someone that can put up philanthropy workshops. I think that's critical. Number 2 is help our website. We are not taking advantage of technology to the extent that we ought to be at all. Every website I go to has videos already that you can, you know, we're not there yet, so we can do that. The third thing you can do is help us do post-grant, I don't want to say mentoring, but post-grant help. Archana just said, we really squeeze every bit of good out of the $10,000 we give. Well, we've just given something like $500,000 in our general grants. Have we gotten $500,000 worth of good for the community? Not for us as people, but for the community. I'm sure we have, and not to say that we don't feel that we have, but I think John Farza Naimi has talked about going in and helping partner with the nonprofits. I think some people said help them figure out how to get a board member, how to have financial transparency. Because the more transparency you have, the more money people will give you. Things like that. So I think that capacity building. You all have expertise. You can help the nonprofits that we're giving money to figure out how to go to the next level. We don't have the capacity to do that. The best we can do is to work with you all to raise money to put out to the nonprofits, but we'd love to involve the community in helping those nonprofits prosper and go to the next inflection point.
And I'm going to add one more thing to Nosheen's suggestions. Think back for a moment to what it was that first brought you in and engaged you to become involved with the PARSA Community Foundation. And knowing some of you, I know the networks that you have, how influential you are, how well respected you are within the community. Think about 5 people or 10 people who you can talk to about what you heard today. Who are the next group of people who you're going to bring in to enlarge the circle?
You've heard that old saying that says 80% of life is showing up. I literally think for our leaders, because I think we need more leaders, that is it. Show up. Show up to things, because when you show up, other people will show up. if you don't show up, they don't. So if you show up, bring your kids, bring your friends, I think other people will show up.
Yeah, and if you go out and you invite someone to show up, they're going to come, and they're going to become involved and engaged, and that's how the circle grows.
So, and off-topic question, PARSA's done a good job of